This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everybody. This gentleman helps people with so many different challenges in their life. Today, we're going to focus on one of them. Out of everything that he does, licensed marriage and family therapist, certified family mediator, certified elder mediator, and offers counseling, of course, mediation. Today, attention deficit disorder. That's what we're going to look at. More and more people are diagnosed with it every year. And how do you pilot through that, especially, let's say, if you're a parent and your child gets diagnosed, or even a lot of adults? I've know people in their 30s, 40s that have been recently.
50s.
Yes, he is. Gary Santucci. He's our professional of the year. Hey, Gary, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Steve. How are you?
Very well.
Good to hear.
Happy to talk about this today because I don't believe there's enough attention, no pun intended, put on this challenge that people go through. Why do you think that more and more cases are being diagnosed in the last year or two?
Actually, it's been the last several years where more and more people are being diagnosed. And it's very interesting because the numbers are like, they're talking about 7 million people that are diagnosed with attention deficit. And I kind of think that's on the high side by a lot. I was reading a statistic the other day that said that 23% of 17-year-old boys, think about that, almost a quarter, are diagnosed with attention deficit disorder. Most of it attention deficit disorder with hyperactivity, which is ADHD as opposed to ADD. Okay.
Wow.
The hyperactivity makes the difference, which is incredibly high. And I just think one of the things that we're finding is that there are people that are being diagnosed with attention deficit that really don't have attention deficit. And that's a scary thing because I think that those people that are diagnosed and don't have it, most of those people are on medication. And these medications are psychostimulants, meaning that they're medications that are protected by the government, and it's very, very serious, strong medication. Stimulants are very strong medications. And to have somebody that's not on attention or not diagnosed with attention deficit to be on this medication, to me, is kind of dangerous. Okay. We're also finding that there's many people that are using these medications to study. Staying up all night and taking the medications, going in the next day and taking the test. So consequently, there's a shortage of some of these medications. A lot of people have difficulty with finding the medication Adderall, which is a very common medication, is in short supply. So when they go and fill their prescription, oftentimes they have to go to multiple pharmacies, or that they have to wait, which is also not a very good thing for them. One of the things about attention deficit is that it's different in every person. It's never really the same. So you can line up 100 people and that are actually diagnosed and actually do have attention deficit and find 100 different symptoms and ways of how it's impacting that person, not only impacting that person, but impacting the families, with children requiring a great deal of attention from the families. So consequently, other siblings maybe get a little short end of the stick. Adults that are diagnosed that are in a relationship, that is a factor. The person that doesn't have the attention deficit and is in that relationship is certainly impacted by the person that does have it. So there's those kinds of things that people deal with. And relationships in and of itself are very difficult, as we talked about last week, coupled with attention deficit disorder. because with attention deficit, the true sense of somebody that has attention deficit and is not being treated by with that, there's a lot of chaos and turmoil that goes on. There's a lot of disorganization. There's a lot of forgetfulness. It's just kind of like out of control. Your day is basically inefficient. You're kind of all over the field. Your direction is not a straight direction by any stretch. And so it's very, very difficult, person that has that, to go through the day and just feel like everything is kind of like out of control, off center. Something is amiss. I don't feel like I have both feet on the ground. So it's a difficult disorder. There are many levels of it. You know, some people have attention deficit that is mild. And then there are people that have attention deficit that is very severe. And those people that have the severe disorder really kind of need to be on the medication, because when you're on the medication, it does work very well as opposed to not being on the medication. So some of the things that we've been finding out recently is how the medication does work. One of the things that it does is with attention deficit, there is a part of the brain that has one function, that's to pay attention. So what we found is that people that have attention deficit, that part of the brain, the pathways that send the signals, those pathways are blocked. So we found that we're going to give a stimulant to someone that is hyperactive, and what it does is it calms them down. Why is that? Well, the medication seems to unblock the pathway. So the signal that needs to get sent is sent just like somebody that doesn't have it normally. People that have attention deficit, that signal is sent either in bits and pieces, way too late, or not at all. So that creates a lot of chaos and confusion. When we're confused, we really don't know what to do. When the pathway is unblocked, it's kind of like clear thinking. Everything slows down. And so you're able to focus. You're able to remember things. You're able to function in a structured setting, more so than when you're not on the medication. Most of these medications are given one time a day. Sometimes there's people that take the medication a couple, 3 times a day. But most of the time you're taking the medication once a day, and it generally lasts around 10 to 13 hours. Everybody is different. So how that medication reacts to you could be different from one person to another. And then once the medication is out of your system, and it goes out of your system every day, it's like you never even took the medication. So all of the things that were there before you took the medication return. And you know, you can have difficulties like difficulty sleeping because of some lingering parts of the medication. It might become an appetite suppressant. Sometimes it gives you dry mouth. So all of those things are possible. Not to say that you have that, but you could have that, okay? So when you don't require the medication, and there are people that go their whole life not being diagnosed, what happens is that along the way, you have developed coping skills. How you deal with certain events of the day, how you deal with certain tasks and responsibilities that you have. And those coping skills become permanent behaviors. So we do them after a while without even thinking about it. But we learned how to do those very early on in life. And so they follow us through life. Those are the people that really don't necessarily require medication. They're pretty much functioning on their own. People that are severe, like I said, can really benefit from the medication. Sometimes attention deficit, the symptoms, when you see those symptoms, you look at that and you say, wow, that's definitely attention deficit, but it might not be. Could be anxiety, could be depression, okay? And one of the things that I think is very, very important to make sure that we're checking on is anger. I think that those people that have attention deficit, that are diagnosed with attention deficit, and it's coupled with anger, and that anger is frequent, those are the people that I think are the people that need the most treatment. So with that, and there are a lot of people that have attention deficit that have difficulty with anger management, explosive. They have difficulty with relationships. So that there's consequently many conflicts in there, either personal relationships like partner relationships, sibling relationships, work relationships, uh, friend relationships, any kind of relationship. If you're expressing that kind of anger, it's very difficult for you to get along with people and very difficult for people to want to be around you. So imagine that in a family. A young child, 5, 6, 7, 12, 13, 14, teenagers, 15, 16, 17, who are very angry and maybe somewhat violent. That's a scary thing for a family to deal with. So,
Thank you for breaking this all down. I've never experienced all the details encapsulated in a short period of time and the understanding of what's going on here. I'm curious, Gary. We talked about the number of teenage boys, 23% being diagnosed. Staggering
it
number.
is. It is.
Why are some being misdiagnosed?
I think that it's a combination of things. I think that, for example, if you are, for example, a teacher sees a child being hyperactive, oh boy, I think we need to get that person some help, some testing to see if that person is attention deficit. And so I think that there's a lot of push by schools, teachers, parents. I can't control this child. This child needs to be on medication. I can't control him. So you give the medication. Okay. Sometimes that medication kind of renders the child to be like almost drooling in a sense. They're just not the same. It kind of sucks the energy out of them in a negative way. Okay. So I think that that's something that has to be really looked at very carefully to make sure that the diagnosis is right on target. And the thing about it is that, that you can have a number of different opinions of somebody diagnosing, okay? And that person, maybe this person diagnoses this child or this teenager or this adult. Oh yeah, definitely they have attention deficit. And another person said, no, 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 this person doesn't, And then this person says, well, maybe, and another person says, well, it's environmental. And now we're finding that a lot of the attention deficit is environmental. That's what some of the newest research is showing, which is very interesting because this research has been coming out in about the last year or two, and it's kind of shattering our beliefs of what attention deficit really is and how to treat it. And one of the other things they're saying is that there are some people that their symptoms will go away as they age. And I've seen that. As they get to be like 18, 19, 20, their symptoms are minimized and you don't hardly see them. And then there are some people that their symptoms increase as they get older. So like I said, again, everybody is different. So there's so many different parts of this and so many different things that you need to be aware of, not only to diagnose it and to treat it, but also to live it. Whether you are the person that has the attention deficit or you are impacted by it because you are a family member or partner or having some kind of ongoing relationship with that person.
What's the steps in the diagnosis? So let's say you're a teenager, you're a parent of a teenager. You suspect, I think they may have attention deficit disorder. What's the testing steps? And then what comes after that? Because I wonder, is it possible to have therapy, have some kind of counseling instead of gravitating over to medication?
There is, absolutely, especially with people that are not severe. You can certainly develop a good regimen of therapy coaching, teaching tools and techniques, and also to be able to help facilitate a structured environment, which I think is really important too. I think that people with attention deficit function significantly better in a structured environment. For example, in school, if you have a teacher that has a real good amount of structure. Structure means that we're doing the same thing every day at the same time, so there's orderliness in that. There's a sense of calm and peace in that. Okay. Whereas we're going to have math at 9 o'clock today and 1 o'clock tomorrow and 3 o'clock the next day. And just like, maybe we won't even have it the following day. So there's not that known fact of we're going to have it this way every day. Okay. So I think that's a big part of it. Structure in the home is also very important. And that relies on parents creating that structure. It's not always easy because, parents may have other children too, and that they need to be taken care of. Both of them may be working. So you come home and you're tired and you have a child that's probably, if a child is on the medication, coming off the medication. Now it's time to do the homework. Oh boy, that creates a lot, because the child isn't really focused on that. And the child is tired because they've been in school all day. Now they're going to do homework and they have an hour of homework to do. That could be a 3-hour ordeal. In some families, it is a 3-hour ordeal. And it's very draining, and creates a lot of tension, a lot of frustration, not just by the parents and other members of the family, but by the person that has the attention deficit. Very frustrating to know that something is just not right. When you look at people in your class and they're doing so much better and they're doing it seemingly with less effort, and I am struggling and I have to really focus and I can't focus, and I have all these thoughts running through my head. It's like a highway of thoughts running through your head. Like you're on a speedway. And these thoughts are coming at you fast and furious, and they come and they go, and they come and they go, they come and they go. So you can't even grab onto that thought. And that creates a lot of confusion. So when you're confused, like I said, you stand still or you become so frustrated that the aggression comes out. And that's when the anger comes out. So it's all these things that are all interconnected. And it's a very difficult way of life. It really is. I don't want to mince words on that. I don't want to cushion it. It's very difficult.
Thank you for the clarification on the anger, because I wondered where was that, is that how is that part of it? But it's a byproduct within the frustration. And I'm connected to somebody I met about a year ago. This is a 50-year-old man. We all look at him like superstar, looks like a model, like dresses great. It's as if he can't even get out of his own way. And I believe he's medicated, but he still struggles where, and we all been in the situation where you're at your computer and you have work to do and you just can't, in him times 10, where he just can't, like you just said. And I've seen this in goals that he's had and it hasn't happened. Many. The stop, the freeze, just don't know where to go next. Even if you have the whole day, you don't use that time because you're frozen. You can't process.
Or you're so distracted by other things. Okay. And once those distractions kick in, the task at hand goes by the wayside.
Yep.
You have great beginnings and poor endings. And that can be very frustrating. You really are trying, okay, I'm really going to do well this quarter or this semester. And you really get out of the box and you do very well, but you just can't keep it going. For whatever reason, there's several reasons why you can't keep it going. Distractions, procrastination, laziness. Laziness is a big thing, okay? And some people think, for example, I'm okay, I don't need the medication. And so they take the medication irregularly, or they stop taking it, and then they kind of go downhill, and then they have to regroup, and their grades fall, and they're getting pressure now from their parents. How come you're not doing so well? Look at your grades went way down this quarter. How come? What are you not doing here? And so that creates conflict and that sort of thing, because most parents want their children to do well. And when they're not, what's the reason? Wow, are you taking your medication? No, I'm not taking my medication because it doesn't make me feel good. And if I take my medication, then I'm not like everybody else in class. And I don't want to be known as the person that takes medication. So there's all these factors that come into play about treating attention deficit with hyperactivity, attention deficit without hyperactivity.
I knew this was a challenge, like a big challenge for many, but even hearing all of the, I guess they're the byproducts that come from it, how it can really cripple somebody. Uh, when you support somebody through therapy, counseling, take us through that journey, how that works. Somebody's diagnosed,
Mhm.
maybe they're on meds, maybe they're not. How can you support?
Well, I think that you want to, when you're dealing with somebody that has attention deficit, you also want to create support on the outside. Okay, family support, partner support, friends support, because I think that's a big help. Everybody wants to be on the same page in helping this person. The other part too is that you want to ensure that that person is making the effort. So that's very hard to achieve sometimes because we're talking about people that have to really focus. You and I can focus most of the time. Okay. People with attention deficit really struggle to focus part of the time. And so when that focus isn't there, it's either hit or miss. I'm going to do it, maybe, but if I don't, well, I didn't get to it, or I was distracted, or I ran out of time. There's always all these things to put into play here. Okay, I lost my assignment. I didn't know we had to do it. I forgot about the test. All kinds of things can come into play, creating this kind of chaos. Okay, so when you're doing that, you want to create that structure right off the bat with the therapy. For example, so I'm going to schedule someone at the same time every week. Okay, knowing that that's the time. Okay, I'm not going to switch it around so that okay, one day it's Monday, next day it's Wednesday, and so on. I'm going to try to keep it that way every single time. Okay, I'm going to also uh, want it to be so that I want to create a peaceful and calm environment within the therapy because I want that person to be relaxed, to experience what it feels like to have that sense of calm and peace. Because a lot of people that have it don't know what it feels like to be peaceful and calm. And so it's kind of foreign to them initially. What's that feel like? Wow, that feels pretty good. But how can I achieve that more,
Wow.
as opposed to the chaos that's going on inside my head? And that's where the chaos is, inside my head. And so, like I said, it's sometimes very difficult to feel those feelings of relaxation and calm. But when you're able to achieve that, then you want to you want to kind of reinforce all of that so that it continues to happen and build on that. And so you're teaching them tools, but you're not teaching them a lot of things at the same time. So, for example, um, Johnny has attention deficit. And so it's Saturday morning and it's time to do the chores at home. So mom and dad are giving Johnny 6 or 7 different things to do. You got to do this, and this. Well, Johnny lost you after the first one. Okay. How come you didn't do the rest of these chores? Well, gee, I didn't know I had to do them. So with attention deficit, you proceed in a slow way. Okay. One thing. Okay. Get that done. Let's go on to the next thing. Get that done. Go on to the next thing. One of the things as parents that you have to have, and boy, this is easier said than done, is patience.
I knew that word was coming.
Yeah,
It is.
you have to have patience.
It's tough because it's not just anybody, it is your child. Gary, we're just about out of time. This has been so
Yeah.
insightful. Um, if somebody is struggling with this, maybe a loved one and needs more insight, how do they connect with you?
They can connect with me, giving me a call at 954-474-1119. They can call me at 954-817-1401. They can connect with me on my website, GarySantucci.com. And they can reach me on my email, GarySantucci74@gmail.com.
And that's Santucci.
Correct.
Appreciate everything today. I view you as the relationship guy because you offer, couples counseling, individuals as well, but also you offer mediation.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a part of what you do. Had no idea attention deficit disorder was all included in terms of how you support, and truly appreciate it. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Steve. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.